Hi everyone and welcome to Traveling Misknits. My name is Pia and I am so very happy that you're joining me here today for a little chat about yarn and knitting. I have this week finished my InNOut Racklin. She's a beauty. I love this sweater. This is exactly the classic wardrobe staple that I was wishing for as I was knitting it. I decided to go with the funnel neck, and yeah, it has these fitted beautiful sleeves, an oversized body. I did some waist shaping, as you can see. I do realize that I have been talking about this sweater again and again for the past couple of months, really. But let me just go through it one final time. This is the InNOut Raglin, a pattern, a free pattern created by the lovely Ivana from the podcast The Republic of Me. It is available on her blog. I will, of course, link the pattern in the description box below. What this is basically, it's not a pattern. It's more of a recipe. It's a blank canvas for you to play with. This can be knit in any yarn, any gauge. What you do is you have this chart where you find your in row, which is the number of stitches that you cast on for your neckline, and then your out row, which is when you have reached the bust circumference that you want. This is a 20 stitch per 10 centimeters gauge, so I cast on 114 stitches. This is based on other sweaters that I have knit and love. So go ahead and do a gauge swatch and then see if you can find a sweater that you have worked before and take the stitch count from that one. If not, Ivana does give you some tips as to how to calculate your in row, your initial stitch count. I played around with it. Of course I did. That's what you're supposed to do with the InNOut Racklin. So I added a couple of short rows up here to shape the neckline. I also worked the short rows that she gives instruction for, which are only on the back. But I like that I lowered the front just a little bit. When I separated for the sleeves, I picked up more stitches than she tells you to. I picked up 8. I should have gone with her instructions because the patterns at the sleeves are just a little bit large, but I started decreasing rather quickly. I think I was around here when I started decreasing, and then I just worked the decreases all the way down to the ribbing here. I did not change my needles for the ribbing, not on the cuffs and also not on the body ribbing. I did knit the neckline on a smaller needle, and actually what I did is I cast on here. I could have done a provisional cast on so that I would have had live stitches to just knit up, but I actually prefer the stability that you get with a cast on edge and then some picked up stitches. I think it improves the integrity of the sweater. A lot of a sweater's weight is carried by the neckline up here, so if I can do something to strengthen it, I will. And definitely casting on and then picking up stitches will help just a little bit. I worked some waist shaping, just a little bit. It's not a lot, it's just a little bit so that I don't have too much fabric down here at the bottom of the sweater. And I also did a few extra short rows after the separation of body and sleeves, just because I prefer my sweaters to be a little bit longer on the back so that they don't creep up and makes me cold. So yeah, a sweater I love, a pattern that I really love. I like that it is, as I said, a blank canvas for us knitters to play with. I had a lot of fun. It's definitely not the last InNOut Racklin that I have made. The yarns that I used for this sweater are two new to me yarns, two yarns that I was gifted by friends and family. And they're both luxury yarns for sure. It's the Noro Silk and it's the Ito Sensei. And would I work with these yarns again? I mean, before I answer, I just want to repeat what I said last week. I love luxury yarns, but I knit a lot. I cannot work with luxury yarns all the time. And I actually find joy in figuring out a budget-friendly solution every now and then. But that being said, would I work with these again? The Noro Silk? Probably. I like this yarn. I really like it. I like the texture. I like the feel of it. I love the thick and thin that goes on in these threads. It's almost like a hand spun quality to it. I love the little flecks of color throughout the yarn. But then again, why I'm hesitant is exactly the color distribution. They do have different colorways, but with similar color distribution, the color story that they tell is similar. And I don't know that I would need a lot of sweaters with this overall look. I love this one, but I don't know that I would need a lot of them. And the Ito Sensei, that's going to be a definitely. I never worked with Ito Sensei before. I had heard about it, and when I had all this money from Christmas presents, I decided to try it. And I am so happy that I did, because this yarn is a game changer for anyone who finds the usual mohair silk blends to be itchy or scratchy. The prickle factor on this one it's almost not there. It's almost non-existent. It is so soft. And you can see I am wearing this next to skin, a rather tight-fitting funnel neck sweater. It doesn't bother me in the least, not even when I'm getting a little bit warm. So if you avoid silk mohair, you like the look but you don't like the feel, I would really recommend that you give this a try. It is much softer than the mohairs that I have tried, and it is probably because it has a much larger silk content than the usual silk mohairs. Yeah, and actually I will say, this is not, I'm not saying that this is a budget-friendly solution, but it's not the most expensive silk mohair out there. It's a lot of value for the money, so for sure, I am gonna sometimes save up, treat myself to some Ito Sensei. With the InNOut Raglan being done, I actually only had one active WIP. I also have my blanket for Isabella, but it's a blanket. It has now been sent to Blanket Land. If you watched my latest episode of Blankets of Calm, you will have seen that I have been working on it, but it's a blanket. It doesn't count towards WIPs. So I basically only had one WIP, and that was the Look at My Holes by James and Watts that I am knitting again for Isabella. She loved mine. She wanted one for herself. So, of course, I started knitting one for her. I am using drop spell just like I did for my own. I really love how this yarn works with the pattern, and it's pleasurable to wear because of the linen content. It's a little bit lighter and maybe also a little bit cooler, or maybe it's just my imagination. I find it a very, very nice summer yarn. The only thing is, I have knit this pattern 3 times. It hurts my elbow. It's just the combination of the yarn and the pattern and the rather heavy needles that you're using. It just hurts my elbow if I knit on it for extended periods of time. So I will knit a little bit on this one, and then I will have to put it down and wait. So you can see I am almost through the yoke. I am very close to separating for the sleeves, and I am taking my sweet time with this one, knitting a little bit on it here and there, but I needed something else, something that I could just knit and knit and knit on for hours. So on the last episode, I showed you that I made a dishcloth, and I said that I wanted to make a dishcloth every week so that I could change out all of the old worn dishcloths that I have. But the yarn that I had brought, usually I knit these in 2 strands of fingering weight cotton, but I had brought some sugar and cream to make the dishcloths with, because I thought that's perfect. That's a heavier yarn. I can knit it single-stranded, and for sure it looks gorgeous, and it's even thicker than 2 strands of the finer cotton held together. So I have fewer stitches. I only have 40 stitches where I usually use 45. So I was like, yay, this is working out really well. But it hurts my elbow. I don't know if when you work with 2 strands, there's going to be a little more give because you have the 2 separate strands. This hurts my elbow for sure. So working a little bit on it and putting it aside. And I will say, of these 2, the dishcloths and the Look at My Holes, I will always prioritize the Look at My Holes because I want to give this to my granddaughter for her birthday, which is early April. Now, I could have picked up some of my lingering WIPs, like my quarantine shawl. I could have just finished that, but I didn't want to. So I decided to cast on the Better World dress that I showed on the last episode. I downloaded the pattern. I made a donation to our local animal shelter. And I wanted to cast on with this Circolo Anne, which is a yarn that I really have enjoyed before. I knit my helix holder out of this, and it's just a really nice, inexpensive cotton yarn. So yeah, everything was ready for me to realize that the Lantern Moon set, I have just a small set of hooks, did not have the needle that the pattern called for. The smallest needle in this set is a 4mm, and I think she suggests a 3.5, something like that. So of course we jumped in the car, we went to my local yarn shop to find out that it was closed. So I guess another one bites the dust. I was at my wit's end. I needed something to work on. Fortunately, I had brought a full cone of the Holst Super Soft in this beautiful Venetian red color. It looks warmer on camera than in real life. It's definitely a cooler red with just a little bit of purple to it, but yeah, I brought this and I decided that I would make my Christmas Day cast on, even though the Holst Super Soft is a lot finer than the sport weight that this is originally worked in. I decided that I could do that. And it has hair all over. I apologize. But yeah, it was definitely doable. I went up 2 sizes in the pattern. I just looked at the full stitch count for the chest just after separating for the sleeves, and I figured out how many stitches I needed there. I had to go up 2 sizes. So I did that. I cast on with the Holst Super Soft on a needle size 3.25mm. And I am just knitting my heart out. It's amazing. I love this. I love the color. See, now it still looks warmer than it is, but this is an almost correct representation of the color. Yeah, I have really been enjoying this, as you might be able to see. It is, of course, quite open. The Holst Super Soft is a very light fingering weight. So it is, as you can see, a very open fabric that I am creating. But I know, because I have worked with this yarn before, once you soak it, and I mean soak, at least 12 hours I would soak a wool like this, because it has a little bit of spinning oil and it's quite rustic. So I will soak it for at least 12 hours with some wool wash, and I know that it's going to bloom, it's going to fill out, so that I get a beautiful, beautiful fabric. And then I will just have to decide once it is blocked, if it is soft enough that I can have the high funnel neck here, or if I just want to fold it over. The pattern for this Christmas Day cast on is going to come out on April 1st, so that if someone wants to make it for the Knitathon on April 6th, they can do so. I'm planning a pattern sale the last week before the Knitathon. In the pattern, I am giving 2 options. I'm giving this option with just a straight up funnel neck that you can of course fold over, but it's straight. There's nothing done to it. And then I'm of course also given the extra instructions that I followed when I made my first samples, where I put some short rows in this neck so that it is taller in the back. So when you fold it over, you have it dipping down just a little bit here in front, just in case that you don't, that you're bothered by this going up too high. The testers loved it, but they have been working, yeah, different versions, but they gave me nice feedback. They also told me that a lot of them had problems with the sweater bulking up here. This one does it a little bit too. And it's a trade-off because I really like the look of the front going up like this, but I also know that as soon as you start moving around, it's gonna bulk up here. So I have added some extra short rows to hit the sweet spot where it still sits relatively high on you, but it doesn't bulk when you move around. So yeah, this is my go-to knitting. This is what I am knitting on every night because it is just this super easy, pleasurable project that I don't have to think, I don't have to look, I can just go around and around. And just like last time, the panels of twisted ribbing doesn't really bother me. The sleeves are worked in twisted rib, so of course there is quite a lot of it all the way up from the shoulders. It is only the knit stitches that are twisted. We're not going to twist the pearls. No knitting, no purling through the back loop. We can knit through the back loop, but we don't want to purl through the back loop. Let's just pretend that we did it, right? But yeah, the tale of 3 projects that just wouldn't give me what I was looking for. But it's gonna be fine. I am gonna continue working on this. I am probably gonna let the dishcloth rest until this one is finished, so that everything my elbow has to give is gonna go into this one. I am gonna try again to go to my local yarn shop, hopefully get the correct needle hook size so that I can start the Better World dress, because that's something that I'm really looking forward to. And alongside that, I am gonna knit away on my Christmas Day cast on, and I am gonna enjoy every stitch. And that was it for the creative content this week. It's gonna be a short episode, but with everything not really coming through for me, I guess that's just how it's gonna be. We are still here in Italy, and we have gotten into our usual routine here where we will hang out for a bit in the morning when we wake up. Then each of us will work. I will typically start by doing some knitting and reading, which I really love. Then we will do our work until late afternoon, where we will then, yeah, stop working, put everything aside, and just have a good time. When we're in Italy, it is always Peter who cooks. He is very good at it. So yeah, I am enjoying myself. We're still watching The Blacklist every night, and I'm still, oh, wow, did they just do that? I love that show. I don't know why I never watched it before, but if you're like me and you don't really, you're not really a first mover or a second for that matter, I really recommend The Blacklist. I am reading Life After Life by Kate Atkinson, which is just a wonderfully intriguing read. So I am enjoying that one as well. This time we did not bring miso because we knew that there would be a good chance that we'd have to travel on from here. So we decided to leave her at home with Anne, my friend who lives on the farm with me. And since she's not here, I have decided that next week when Peter goes to Mallorca for work, I'm gonna go with him. So I guess next time we will talk, it will be in Mallorca, and I will probably, hopefully, be soaking up some sun. The weather over there is much nicer than here. We do have a couple of nice days every now and then, but yeah, spring is just around the corner, which is fine. It's gonna come, and I will enjoy being able to wear my sweaters until it will arrive. Until we talk again, stay happy, stay safe, and keep knitting.